our lovely suburb of Blair.
Farber.
Oh, Farber. Yes, Farber.
Along the trip, as far as different things that you're going to see on each bank of the river. Well, I guess you probably want to know who I am first. I work for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I'm a natural resource specialist. I'm located out of the Missouri River Project Office, which is up near Florence by the Coast Guard. It's directly south of Dodge Park. I don't know how many of you might be familiar with that area, but that's where my office is. I oversee 14 dams in Omaha and Lincoln area, and then I also work on the Missouri River Recovery Program. So the dams that you guys might be familiar with are Cunningham, Zarinsky, Wirspan, and Standing Bear. And then there's 10 dams in Lincoln, like Branched Oaks, Holmes Lake, Pawnee. Those might be some of the more common ones that you may have heard of or been to.
Hey, Mr. Moore.
Things that I cover on those dams, I get this question a lot, is I deal with a lot of real estate issues, like encroachments, things that aren't supposed to be activities on the land.
Yeah, so is this going to be a
it's
YouTube
public
video later
land,
on
it's
today?
all of ours,
Better.
it's not a private use
explain it
area. You know, so it's for everybody to enjoy, and sometimes people take advantage of that and do private things on public land, like their own personal parks or campground type things, you know, that I could go for hours naming things. But so that's a constant thing that I have to do. And then also do a lot of interpretation about water safety. Sometimes I talk about Lewis and Clark, the recovery program.
Can I film you?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
Might don't break your screen or something.
No.
So that's kind of what I do. And then do like boat shows, and sometimes I don't get a lot of opportunities to come to schools, but sometimes I do. Just depends on my schedule. So keep that in mind if you ask me. Just depends on my schedule. Let's see here. Now, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has a lot to do with this river. In fact, it's the agency that made it navigable. It did not used to look like this at all, for those of you that probably already knew that. If you go up north, up to, we're at River Mile, let's see, 618, 617. If you go up to River Mile 810, you'll be at Gavin's Point Dam. Now, you go for, was it about 30-mile stretch down from that, and you're in the Missouri River, the National Park Systems. Drawing a blank. I'm going to do that once or twice today. My brain's too full and some things leak out. So that might have been one of them today. But it's a wild stretch of the river. Wild in the sense that it doesn't have all the structures that we have down here. Down here, you can't really see them today because the water's pretty high. In fact, the water's very high. It's there's revetments and dikes. And in the front of your map that I gave you, there should be on the first page, typical channel configuration. There's a revetment, and that's usually on the navigation side of the river, and that's the part that's going to be the deepest and fastest. On the slow side of the river, you'll see dikes and some rock chevrons. But today, like I said, we're not going to see any of that because of the height of the river.
That boat's rocking our boat.
Yeah, a little wave action. So if you were to see these, I don't know how many of you, can I get a show of hands? How many of you have been on the river before? A little bit. And you probably you've seen the large limestone rocks that are very visible. And in the winter, they seem like they're 15 feet tall, but now they're underwater. So, I mean, the river fluctuates for the navigation season. But this year with the high water, I'll talk about gauges for a little bit. There's a, yes?
See where that thing right there is where the water, that's where that boat sank and two guys jumped off the other day?
Oh, you want to talk about
No, you just, you
okay.
remember?
No, I don't have this particulars on. Hang on, we got a little tidbit of information from the captain.
There's a 28-foot boat sunk 3 days ago, I believe it was, right? At about 1 o'clock, you can see the little water disturbance 3/4 of the way to the tree line, and that's the bow. It's actually upside down, So if we were to be able to, we could see it the day it happened. And the two gentlemen that were in it were taking it out for a test drive, and it took on water, and they got it over to here and bailed out. They came out of the marina off here to our left, so they weren't out very long. But the boat is totally submerged now. It was about 2.5, 3 feet of it visible, but the bottom is towards us, and it's upside down with the bow facing towards the trees there. But they were both okay. I think the boat's a total loss.
Hope they had insurance. It is unknown if alcohol was involved.
They were not very long anyway.
Okay, little more information on the channel structure itself. There's a left bank and a right bank. Anybody know which side the left bank is? Alright, if you're facing downstream, which is that way, this is your left bank, for those of you who can see me. If you're facing downstream towards Omaha, that's the left bank. So that's the right bank. So
Iowa's left and Nebraska's right.
that's a good one. Iowa's left, Nebraska's right. Nebraska's always right. No, I'm just playing. Okay. And you'll also see river mile markers. You'll also see day marks. Day marks are for the navigators so that they know when they have their barges when they need to start turning and on what side of the bank they're on. There's also buoys, but from what I understand, we're not able to see any of the buoys because they're all underwater. They're gone. They all snapped and they're all somewhere. Oh, okay. You'll be able to see some can buoys, which are the green ones, and they're all stuck in this log over in here. So they're not really marking the river real well. So I'm glad Captain Steve knows where he's going. You guys see this water where it's kind of splitting off here? This is the entrance to Council Bend. Council Bend is a Missouri River Recovery Mitigation Project. It's a backwater chute that was excavated by the Corps of Engineers 4 years ago, I think, in efforts on part of the Missouri River Recovery. That packet that I gave you is on the Missouri River Recovery Program. There's all sorts of different efforts. This effort here is for the habitat. That's what the mitigation, it's in effort to mitigate for the navigation of the Missouri River.